incoming students, we more or less spend like, you can come to the lab at least for an hour. Okay, we'll help you with patterns, with pattern making, different techniques, sewing techniques, and just a variety of things to make you a very successful fashion. We call this the thread stand. Okay. This is the hand wheel. This rolls up and down to bring the needle in the bobbin case and back out of the bobbin case. Okay. Here's what we call from the thread stand. We come through the bobbin spool pin, and we use these functions right here are basically the thread guide, and this is the tension on the machine. All right, here's called the needle clamp, and what we're gonna do, we're gonna put the needle in here, and we use this little small piece here. It's called the needle screw to screw the needle in place, and this is the foot screw. So once we put these variety of foot they call them presser foots that we use for the machine. This here is a zipper foot for the blind zipper. Are you all familiar with the blind zipper? Okay, this is a blind zipper foot. This is gonna come in handy. You are gonna really like this in finishing off your garments. Okay. This here's a basic foot. This is a Teflon foot that we use if you're sewing leather and furs and different kind of high-powered fabrics. You use the Teflon foot. These 2 feet right here, you have a left and a right. This is real great for if you're using bias binding on your garments. You can use this for the left side, this for the right side. This here foot is called a baby hem. You ever seen those evening gowns that have a little tiny hem at the bottom? Mm-hmm. And so they call it a roll hem, but it's also a baby hem. So you use this attachment for that. And once you kind of get started with this on your baby hem, it flows through just real easy. Let's see what else we have here. This is another foot we call the smocking foot. When you attach this onto the machine, if you ever seen how you have all the gathers inside the shoulders, you put this on the foot, and as you're running the fabric through here, you hold this to the back and it actually gathers. We have our on and off power switch right here. This will get the machine started. This is our starting pedal. And this here is our presser foot knee lift. You can either lift the machine using the presser foot knee lift, or you can use the automatic lift here in the back. Okay. And I think what I want to do now, we want to get started. We're going to want to thread the machine, and then I'll let you all go to your machines, and then you can thread the machines. Okay. First step through here is to put it through the stand. We're going to feed it through. We have a tension here. Not all machines have on the spool pin this tension piece, but the ones that do have it, we just insert it through here. And you have a little open hole. Okay, and then there's another thread guide here at the top. You loop it inside the top one and bring it back around to the second one. And if your thread gets a little frayed, we use 2 different types of scissors. This is my paper scissor, and this is my fabric scissors. And you'll see how that come in handy. You probably have people that say, I know sometimes I've had to tell people, don't use my paper scissors for fabric, or fabric for paper. So just make sure you get your 2 separate pairs. I usually try to cut my thread like on an angle so it doesn't fray so bad. We're gonna take it through the first tension hoop, then we'll take it through the front tension guide, and there's a tension spring. If you all look close here, here's the tension spring. And you wanna bring it back through the tension spring, back down through the bottom thread guide, up through the top. And this will get kind of routine. You would just do it second nature. Okay, what we're gonna do here, through the needle clamp, we're gonna attach, let me get it up. There's certain needles that you use for these industrial machines. On this Juki machine, we usually use like a 10 or 11. And when you guys get your needle, I'm gonna go around and walk with you all as you're walking through this. When you get your needle, you'll see a needle head here, and if you feel the needle, you'll feel this kind of groove at the bottom. That groove at the bottom, it goes from left to right. And when you thread the needle, it goes from left to right. Some machines go from the front to the back, but the Juki machine, you thread it from left to right. So therefore, you put the needle in with the groove over to your right. You use the press and lift. And one thing to note, if this needle is not in right, if it's slightly kind of off in a different direction, the machine is not going to sew properly. So you have to make sure it is left to right. This our needle screw goes here. Basic stitch formations. We use the presser foot lifter to the right. We move it up on the machine. And let me show you this before too. Here's a guide for seam allowance. Seam allowance is when you stitch in a garment and you say, I want to allow at least a 1/2 inch seam allowance, raw seam allowance inside the garment. Or I want to say have 5/8 of an inch or 3/4 of an inch or 1 inch seam allowance. These are the guides that you follow. You just insert your fabric up under the presser foot. And if you want 1/2 inch, you follow this green. Instead of watching a needle, your eyes should stay on the line. And these machines are pretty powerful, so you just want to kind of take your time when you press. And if you stay on the line, the 1/2 inch, you can take your tape measure and measure, and you see from the edge of the fabric to this point to your stitch, that's a 1/2 inch. Make sense? Same thing, when you get ready to finish with one stitch, and if you want to reverse it, you press it down, go and reverse it. We call this back tacking. I use the back tack at the beginning when I start a garment, and I back tack at the end of a seam. That means you want your seam to be tight at the beginning. You don't want it to come loose at the beginning or come loose at the end, so you want to do what you call a back tack at the beginning and the end.
One, 2, 3, 4, 5.
I know what. I think she said
Put
like
it on
this.
there. Spool. And
No,
then press that lever. There we go. And this is how you spool a bobbin.
Look how fast it's going.
Threading the bobbin. Look at Capri Square, y'all.
Y'all, look at that. I was showing my square. How do I gotta cut it.
Yep.
Now you gotta do yours.
You gotta record me while I do mine. Let me see yours though. Oh Lord, please cut that. Let me see that square, girl. Okay.
Chain stitch, which that gives like a straight stitch, and at the same time it surges. That's called a chain stitch. But this is called an overlock. It has 4 spools of threads, and it has 2 needles. If you look close, I don't think this light's working. It has 2 needles. The measurement between the pattern is equally distributed 1 inch. This square around here makes a total of 1 inch on the pattern paper. This here is what we call our blocks. When you make a pattern on this type of paper, it's called a pattern block. This marking here, we call these notches. And let me show you what a notch tool looks like. This is a notch tool. So you will insert this in here and press down, and that will give you a notch. Your notch markings are sort of like a puzzle when you put a garment together, and if you put like a side seam, you want the front and the back to match each other. At some point, you need to put a knot.
Yeah, Miss Dom said we got 1 hour to make this pillowcase. Project that way.
Can we do it?
I don't know. Let's see if we can do it.
If you need more pins, feel more comfortable, it's fine. If you want to put one here, it's up to you. And then now we're gonna go under the machine. Lift your foot up. Lift it down. Up again, down. Okay, right here. And keep it on the 1 inch and start stitching all the way down.
Bring the needle down.
Mm-hmm. You can bring the needle down. Yeah, okay. And start stitching and make sure you slow up and you don't run over the pin slightly. Do a back tack. You'll come up about 3 stitches, go back, and then come back.
Okay.
Because we want this tight. Okay, so try that. Let me see. You'll be good. Take the pin out.
Hope I
now
don't.
You can take the pin out.
I can take it out.
Mm-hmm.
I hope I don't press
Come up about 3 stitches. Come on up. Go back. Reverse. Go back about 3. Come up again. And keep your, look at this. You're going to keep this under 1 inch. This is your guide. Come on in. Come on down. Keep it on 1 inch. Just let it go.